Morning, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to WestysAngling. You're joining me and my dad today for another fishery review, and the reason that I'm doing the intro in my car is because it's absolutely heaving it down outside. It's raining really heavy. The motorway was an absolute nightmare getting here this morning. A few of you have been saying to me, why don't I try fishing somewhere a little bit more challenging and a little bit more natural, like a reservoir or a lodge lake or somewhere like that. So I found a place. This place has been recommended to me. I am told that it is a challenging fishery, so this is exactly what you guys are looking for. So the name of the fishery that we'll be fishing today is called Low Mill Lodge. It's located in Chorley, like a lot of the fisheries are that I review on the channel. I think it's predominantly silverfish, but there are a few really good carp in, but the carp are few and far between. It's a mixed fishery. There's some big roach in, there's some big bream, as you would imagine with like a mill lodge lake. And to be honest with you, it's a little bit tricky to find. It's on an industrial estate and you've got to go all the way to the end of the industrial estate, and the gates only open at 7, so you've got to ring the bailiff the day before, tell him that you're going to be here at 7. I think it's £10 for 2 rods. So how I'm going to fish it is I'm going to fish it with a cage feeder for the silverfish, and then I'm going to have a sleeper rod down the margin just in case a big carp was moving through the swim or whatever. And we'll see if we manage to catch anything. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we go all day and don't catch. It's that kind of fishery. It is meant to be tough, but it's a more natural venue, which is what you've all been calling for. So we'll see how we get on today. Fingers crossed we manage a few fish for you. And as always folks, I'll put the address for the fishery in the description for you in case you wanted to try it yourself. So to be honest with you, I'm actually looking forward to trying something a little bit different. It can get to the point where fishing your normal course fisheries can get a little bit stagnant. You're catching the same fish, so on and so forth. But it's good to mix it up every now and again, try something a little bit different. And like I said, mostly today I'll be targeting silverfish. I've defrosted my mix of ground bait pellets and dead maggots out of the freezer, like I have been doing over the last couple of weeks, and we're going to put that in a cage feeder, and I'll probably build up a big bed of bait first and then cast over the top of that. And like I said, go down the margin with my sleeper rod for the carp, which I'm just going to be fishing with a solid PVA bag and pellets. Okay, so anyway, I hope you can see this. It is very, very dark, but I'm sure the light from the car is enough to illuminate my face at least. Well folks, we've just been let through the first gate and now there's another gate. It's like bloody Fort Knox, this place, I tell you. Oh, what a horrible day. We must be absolutely mental coming fishing today. So this is the conditions this morning. And this is the gate. There are your rules. Rod licence, barbless hooks, no keep nets, no litter, no fish to be removed, no pike to be killed, and available for matches. Day ticket £6, contact number 077 169 53245. This is the fishery folks. I'll just put you on chest cam. Now from what I've been told, it's very, very, very good for pike. So if you're into your pike fishing, I think there was a £17 pike out last year. I think you can use dead baiting tactics and all the rest of it. You can tell why it would be good for pike. All these snaggy overhangs. I bet it's a good perch water as well, to be honest. But very overgrown, very natural, like a woodland lodge. Look at this. You definitely can't ask me to fish in any tougher conditions or a more natural lodge than this. And we say natural because what is natural these days? They're all man-made places. I hope somebody's lost the float in that tree there, Dad. It is a proper lodge, isn't it? Like you can tell with these stone embankments. There's no toilets here. I think he said there was a toilet, but it's nearer the main road. But there's no local toilets. Power lines going up across it. So if you're fishing pole, be careful. Just having a nosy round now. See which peg we fancy. You thinking here?
Not here, but if you want to fish up at that end.
Nowhere to get a brolly in. Very snaggy.
Yeah, it does work. We can fish it.
Can I look at river? Is that, what is that? Is that the
River lost stop, that.
Is it?
Yeah, I looked up that.
God, look at it. That is surging through. This is the top end. To be fair, Dad, it's a little bit more sheltered up here, isn't it? We've got overhanging trees all the way along here. I reckon we fish these two. Dad absolutely bloody hates fishing in the rain. He's absolutely fuming that I've dragged him out. Oh dear. And he wants to fish these pegs here close to the car park. I'm trailing him down the opposite end of the lake. And we probably won't even catch anything today, Dad.
You'll be going in if you do.
So he's paying for the tickets, he's soaking wet through, and we're probably not going to catch. Oh dear. Yeah, but think of the views, Dad, think of the views. Oh dear me. Right, let's get our stuff down and get set up. Did you get some maggots and worms?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Oh dear. Well, car in the garage is going to be absolutely soaking for today. Now the filming quality might be a bit crap today if I get like water on the lens and stuff like that, but we're going to have to cope with it. But at least look at this viewing, guys. Look at that. You cannot ask me to fish a more natural lake than this. All overgrown. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough fishing today. I think we'll be lucky to get a few silvers. But if anything will get them, it's this absolute shit mix of stuff I've got here. Let's break it all up. Ground bait, pellets, dead maggots, corn, all stuff I've unthawed out the freezer. Enough for me and my dad there for a day's session. Just breaking it all up. Absolutely heaving it down. Just want to get some kind of cover ups. Right folks, so what bait am I using today? As I've said, I've got my shit mix for in the cage feeder, and on my sleeper rod I'm going to be using a mix of AquaStim Black Magic pellets and F1 pellets, and I've already tied up a PVA bag ready to go out. All I need to do is tie that quick change lead there onto one of my rods, and I'm just going to put it down the margin here next to these reeds close in. I think that's our best chance for getting a carp today, and I'm going to leave that all day. I don't think I'm going to move it. So we need to get a bite alarm. Oh my gosh, horrendous. We need to get Jesus. We need to get a bite alarm on this rod pod, and then we can get going. Pre-tied up my feeder hook lamps there, so I've got a speed stop there for the worms, and I've also just got a normal hook which is tied on with a knotless knot, so no hair on it or anything. I'll just hook the worms directly. I am going to be fishing with natural baits today, and in the PVA bag I've got a large wafter. Okay. Let's get the rods out. Horrendous conditions. You probably hear the rain. Look at it, hammering it down. Where's your bait bucket, Dad? Okay, so Shimano Speedmaster's set up with a cage feeder, just a 30-gram cage feeder. It's a fairly big cage feeder because I want to put a fair bit of bait out. With it being a big lodge, I want to get a good grounding of bait, hopefully draw the bream in. If you don't know how to tie up my feeder rig, I'll put a link to it in the top right hand corner for you. But I'm not going to talk you through it today just because of how bad the weather is. But there you go, I've got a twizzle boom section, and it's a free running feeder there all the way down to a glass bead, and then I'm just going to loop to loop my hook length of probably about a foot, half a foot off that, and we're just going to cast that out a few times first, get the swim loaded up with bait, and then I'll probably clip up to that spot. £10 main line, heavy duty. Like I said to you, I'm going to put the PVA bag rig out first. I'm just going to forget about it. It's worth having one out though if there's some big chunks in here. You never know. Got to be in it to win it, as they say. I'm already absolutely soaking. I can't see us doing a full day today like this. Right, so that's my line for all the rod rings. I'm just going to dry my hands and then tie the PVA bag on, and we'll just underarm it down the margin here. Hopefully it's not too snaggy, but who knows. Like I said, I've never fished here before, so we won't know stuff like that. Turn this round because it's waterproof on the back. Whew. Okay, AquaStim pellets. I'm trying not to touch the PVA bag because my hands are wet. And there's nothing that I can do about that. There's so much you can dry them. All I'm going to do is tie this onto the stem and underarm this out. If you haven't seen my video on how to tie up these PVA bags, like I said, anything of interest, I'll put a link to it in the top right hand corner so you can have a nosy. PVA bag's tied on, I'm going to have to be quick here. Right, I'm just going to drop it off the edge of this tree. There we go, that'll do us. Put it on the rod pod and forget about it. I'll be very shocked if that goes off today, but who bloody knows. Like I said, there's not a massive stock of carp in. I think there's more pike in here than carp. Could fish all year in a place like this and not get a carp. Not as ram-packed as normal commercials. Again, like I said, I'm just going to loop to loop my hook length with my main line. I'm wearing my new Ridge Monkey pants today, meant to be waterproof. Today is a very good test of that. So wet it down, tighten it up, there we go. Let's go and get some bait. Chuck some worms and maggots in there for me, please, Dad. Have you got your feeder on? Did you get some ground bait? That'll do, that'll do. Did you get worms? Worms? Yeah. There we go, worms and maggots. Start off with a small worm, I think. First thing I'm going to do is start off the swim, I think. So I'm going to load up the cage with ground bait, pellets and dead maggots, and then we'll cast out a couple of times in quick succession, and I'll clip up think that'll do us. Round about there. I don't think it's very deep. So let's clip up to that. And we know that we're going to be there or thereabouts every time. The bait's come out the feeder well. I thought it might actually get lodged in, but it's come out okay. So we'll probably do this 3 times. Probably fishing just over halfway. You can see that I'm just giving the rod tip a couple of jerks just to release everything out the feeder. Last one, and we'll put some bait on. Perfect. Right. As you can see, feeder rig's tangle free. It's not got tangled once on them 3 casts. So let's put a worm on. I'm going to go through the worm, twist it round the shank of the hook, and then I'm going to go back through, and that'll keep it out the way of the hook point reasonably. There we go. Now, if we're not getting any bites, I will shorten the hook length as well. I'm putting a big bed of bait out. Hopefully that'll bring all the fish in and hopefully doesn't attract the pike. But yeah, if you're into your pike fishing, this would definitely be a great place for dead baiting. We might even try that in winter. Like I said, I think last year 17-pound pike came out, which is pretty damn big for up this way anyway. We must be absolutely mental. Oh, I feel sorry for dragging him out like this. Look. Oh dear. I've not had any indication on the tip yet. So what I'll probably do is give it half an hour on the worms. If we're still struggling, I'll try double maggot. And obviously we don't know if we're in the right spots that produce the fish. Just a stab in the dark when we're doing these fishery reviews. It's definitely the worst conditions that we fished in this year. My dad thinks we're stupid to be fishing like this. I don't think he wants the challenge. I don't blame him. My dad's fishing a slightly lighter setup than me. He's fishing a 5-pound hook length to size 16, whereas I'm fishing a 7-pound hook length to a size 14. I'm trying to target anything really, but I'm hoping that obviously if we get one of the bigger bream or even a carp, I'll be able to land it. But I do think the carp will be, in this kind of lake, very, very hard to catch, and they're probably big units as well. I bet they go to 20 pound or more. There's loads of places for them to hide, so in places like this they can get pretty big off the natural food and everything else that's in the lake. Got you on chest cam again today, underneath the coat. So my dad just missed the bite on the worm. That's a good sign. Well, not that he missed it, but there's actually fish in here. I bet this would be a good perch water as well as pike. suppose it all depends on the stock of smaller fish. I don't think it gets fished often, this place, at all. Sleeper rods, doing exactly what it says on the tin and sleeping. I don't think that'll go around today, but like I said, who knows. I'd rather have it out than not have it out. So a couple little twitches on the rod tip then. Right, so let's have a bit of fun. I'll make you a deal. If I blank today, if I don't catch anything at all, I'll give away a WestysAngling cap to somebody random in the comments. So to be in with a chance of winning, make sure you've liked the video, make sure you've commented, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for me as well. And if you don't know already, I do have a WestysAngling Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to drop me a follow on them as well. But if coming out in these conditions isn't enough for a subscribe, I don't know what is. Any giveaways that I do on the channel are just a thank you for watching the videos, and me giving back a little bit for the time that you put into watching them and all the nice comments and things like that. So that's the reason that I do them. Let's do a bit of a recast. Right, let's try the maggots. It's a lot easier to cast if I stand up out the way of the brolly. Come on, nice big bream. Oh. Hey up, he's in! I'm in, guys. Can you believe it? Oh, wow. See, I do know what I'm doing. Skimmer. I said that there more for justification of myself rather than you guys, but there you go. Nice skimmer. Yeah. Oh, maggot. Dad's into a skimmer as well. They might be moving through the swim. But there we go. First fish. And don't worry guys, I'll still give away a WestysAngling cap. So make sure you comment and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Whoop. Let's get that back. Yes. Bet some of you carp fishermen out there are like, what the bloody hell? What's he doing? What's he doing in this conditions, trying to fish for them slimy things for? But there you go. Sometimes it's nice to try a little bit different and still rewarding. Like, definitely more rewarding catching that fish than getting a carp out of a normal course fishery, which is relatively easy in my opinion. It's an half decent bite, that as well. Right, okay, so they want the maggots. Double maggot. Need to change this GoPro battery. It's just a little bit wet to be messing with it. Right, okay. Back to the spot. That's a bit off that actually. I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll just build up an area like the size of a door, and hopefully get them all picking around in that. And obviously the live maggot's going to be a hell of a lot more attractive to them than the dead ones, and they'll hopefully pick them out of the bait pretty quick. Just knocked my coffee over. Awesome. Hey up, couple of twitches then. Yeah, I got these Ridge Monkey waterproof pants in the sale. To be fair, they're not very waterproof. I can still feel like dampness going through the trousers. I think they're more water resistant, but better than shorts. The breeze is blowing down this way a little bit as well, which is probably a good thing. I'm gonna go with half a worm this time. I just had a really good bite, really slow pull round, but I missed it for some reason. I'm just gonna top it with a maggot as well, just for a bit of colour. A bit of colour and movement, like that. See that? But it'd be a decent bream that takes that, if I get a bite on that. Now, obviously with waters with pike in, and when you're fishing worms, you've always got a chance of accidentally hooking a pike, but your chances of landing it would be slim to none, I would have thought, depending on where you hooked it in its mouth and how big it was. Little tiny twitches. Just thought to myself, why have I switched up my tactics just because we're fishing a more natural venue? Why am I using a cage feeder? Why do you automatically go to that kind of tactics? I should put a method feeder out with a pink wafter. I might try that towards midday and we'll see if we get any fish that way. It's mad, isn't it? You go to a more natural venue and suddenly you've got a cage feeder on. I don't know. I just feel like I should be using a cage feeder. Next cast I'll get my method feeder rod out and I'll try and clip up to a similar place. We'll get a pink wafter on and see how we get on like that. So my dads have said that we're probably fishing cage feeder because of how silty it is and because of all the leaf litter, and the longer hook length will just sit on top of the silt and all the leaf litter as well. But I am going to try the method feeder because who knows, it could be a better tactic, and it might be something that they've not really seen much here. The WestysAngling method feeder movement has probably not reached here yet. But we'll see. Dad's on his second bream. I keep getting little knocks, but nothing's materialised. I think potentially the worms may be just a little bit too big for him. Yeah, I'll have a couple of casts on this, I think. Probably put a 7-pound hook length on with a size 16 and a 6mm wafter. It's only a small feeder. There we go. So size 16 to 7-pound line, 6mm band and wafter. Should be able to nab even the smallest of bream, that. Right guys, let's have a go on the method feeder. And when I say guys, I am referring to both sexes as well. Guys is a generic term. It's just a little bit more modern than saying folks. But there we go. Method feeder's loaded up, little tiny wafter. Let's try and cast it roughly to the right spot. And then I'll clip up. Check I've not already got something in the clip. Where were we? There we go. I don't think that was far off, was it? So let's put the line in the line clip if this stops spinning round. How have these found their way into me cup? Got bloody maggots in my brew. Ugh. I'm quite annoyed I don't have any banded rigs with me. I do prefer to band my wafters. I feel like the weight's better, it's balanced better. I feel like the bait spike just turns it into a sinker rather than a wafter. You need that buoyancy to help the wafter fly up into the fish's mouth, and when you've got a bait spike in it, that bit of metal just helps weigh it down a bit, which isn't really what you want. So that's why I normally use bands, but I've no banded hook lengths that are that fine. I've only got my carp ones. Definitely interested to see whether method feed is effective on a place like this, or more effective than natural baits anyway. If we don't get anything on the next 2 casts, then I'll go back onto cage, because at least we were catching on that, and it just shows you that it does make a difference. And I was right to be using the tactics that I'd chosen for today. Must admit guys, it might be tough fishing, but it is a lovely place to fish. Very scenic. Like I said, loads of overhanging trees into the water and loads of snags to fish to and features. I've had nothing on the method feeder yet. So next cast I'm going to go back onto cage and probably double maggot. I'm going to give this another 15-20 minutes and we'll recast. Right folks, so just had a good chat to the bailiff. Let's talk about what sizes of fish are in here. So he's saying carp go to probably about £20. He said biggest bream that's been out this year is around £7, and the biggest tench that's been out is around £6. So good mixed course. Fishery, he said there's crucians in, he said there's quite a few smaller carp in, good feeder water, but also for fishing pole, like a couple of rod lengths out. So that's the tactics that he's saying go with. As I've said to you before, it is a proper natural water. You can't come in here, you can't come here expecting it to be like a normal course fishery and you'll be catching every 30 seconds. It just isn't going to work like that. And but this is the kind of fishing that you've all have asked me to do, so this is what we're trying today. So absolutely nothing on the method feeder. He said method feeder and wafters does work well, but obviously it's not working for me today. I might try close to these snags here in this tree with the method feeder a little bit later on. Right, let's go back onto the cage feeder. He also said that there's some chub been put in recently as well. But it shows you that you can't fish everywhere the same. You need to be able to mix up your fishing and try different things. He also said that there's roach in here coming up to £2, and whether you believe it or not, he said for those of you that like your crucian fishing, that there's crucians in here that are going up to 5 ounce off the British record. But again, until you catch it, you don't really know, do you? But if you are into your crucian fishing, this could be a good place to try. I know a lot of you do ask me, you know, where's good for crucian, where can I go for crucian fishing? Well, give here a go. He said that people come and fish here and it's not often that they come back because of how tough of a fishery it is and how natural a fishery it is. And I do understand it, but you can't expect this kind of place to be like a normal course fishery. You've got to fish it different, and you've definitely got to be more patient as well. Pretty sure I'm in here. Yep. Not a bad skimmer. Come on, we need one of these 5-pounders. The benefits of feeding heavy like this, it might take you longer to get a bite, but I think it definitely draws the bream in, getting a good pile of bait. And a shoal of bream could soon go through a load of pellets and ground bait and dead maggots like this, especially at this time of year. Right folks, I think I'm gonna just check this rod, make sure it's not snagged up on anything. Yeah, of course it is. That's what I thought might be the problem. Whether I'm into a fish. I think I am. Seemed like a decent bite. That's a better bream. Look at this bream. On the worm. It's an absolute chunk, that, folks. Absolutely nailed that worm. I'm chuffed with that. It's got belly on it. Probably a couple of pound, I reckon. There we go, folks. Nice bream. I think in a bit what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie up another PVA It's had a bit of a twitch then. Tie up another PVA bag for the carp rig, put the rod pod on this side and fish it over to that overhanging tree over there. See if I can get it tight-ish up to that. See if we can pick up a carp from there maybe, who knows. I think if there were any carp moving about in the margin, I'd have probably picked them up by now. We'll give it another hour and then I'll tie another one up. Well, there's way too many snags down that margin, so I'm going to put this rig back out, but towards the other side of the lake. So I'm just drying it off. Obviously it's going to go in a PVA bag, so got my pellets. Where's my speed loader? Shouldn't really be doing this with damp hands. Okay, so let's get a few pellets in. I'm just going to lick my fingers and seal that bag around the lead, making sure it's tight. Push the corners in. Right, that's ready to go out, that, folks. Quick enough. Just going to perforate the bag a couple of times just to let the water in. I'll have to cast it from here because of the trees. Want a bit over to that far bank. That was a good cast. Not do that again, Dad. I can't believe how tight that was. Well, see if we pick anything up there. Dad's a set of roach on feeder. First roach today. And that was on corn. Tough fishing, but we expected it. There was a big fish moved in the margin here, probably 10-15 minutes since. I don't know whether it was a pike or a carp. It seemed to swirl round and it brought a load of bubbles up from the bottom. Well, folks, there's absolutely loads of bubbling coming up in my swim where I've been casting out, but I can't seem to get a bite, so I'm going to use a slightly different approach. Just need to get this hook length off. Somehow. I don't want to break it because I might swap back onto it. There we go, we're off. And I've only got really big hooks tied up here, but I'm sure they'd still nail a bream. I'm going to put one of these banded hook lengths on. Just might be a little bit too heavy duty for here, but it's what I've got tied up, and they're probably about, I don't know, 8-inch, something like that, hook lengths, longer than a method feeder. There we go. And I'm going to put a big wafter on, so I'm going to go with an 8mm pink wafter to start with, a little bit bigger. I might be waiting longer for a bite, and I'm hoping that 8 inch is enough to sit on top of the silt. Just a couple of changes, let's see if it makes a difference in what we're catching. Well, I'm into a fish here and it's certainly not a bream. I've just swapped onto a pink wafter, 8mm. Certainly not a bream. Drag's okay. Yeah, I'm into a fish, get it? I think there's some carp in the swim. I'm in on this one as well. Is it 2 fish? Oh my god. This is a carp. It's a bloody good carp as well, Dad. Oh, just swapped onto an 8mm pink wafter, Dad. Yeah, it will be. Take it easy, Dad. Take it easy. Where's your rod? Is your rod in? This is a good fish. I don't want to lose it. Yeah. It's alright, it's come out, it's come free. It's come free. It's a good fish, that, over there, Dad. Yeah. Dad, you take this. I don't know, do I? Yeah, it's cool, yeah. No, it's still around that other. That tree. Yeah. Well folks, unfortunately we didn't manage to land that other carp, but it was the same size as this one, if not a bit bigger, and this is a right chunk. Look at this. Look at the absolute belly on it. I'm gonna weigh it. Just swapped onto an 8mm pink wafter. Can you believe it? Look at that thing. The carp don't come out often in here, I'm told. Tell you what folks, I'm so gutted I lost that other fish. It was this size or bigger. It was probably about that big. Some of the line was actually caught around a branch or somebody else's line, and the fish managed to get itself free. But it is what it is. That's obviously the problem when you're fishing up to snags, but at least we managed to get this one in. Look at the size of this chunk. Oh, still got loads of energy left. Oh. At a fishery where apparently the carp don't come out often and we've just hooked 2 in as many minutes, but look at that. It's a big fish, that, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah, it's bonny, that. Nice shape.
Yeah, really pristine condition, but absolutely lovely, chunky common carp. Right, I'm gonna see if I can get another one, but I've seen a patch of bubbles coming up on the spot where I've been feeder fishing for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and I thought I'm just going to try a bigger wafter on that spot in a shorter hook length, and bang, look at that. Right, I'm going to get it back. Watch this fish swim away. Look at it. Get in. Well, that has made coming out in this weather absolutely worth it. Whew. 8mm pink wafter. Let's go. But obviously I hooked a fish on the krill as well on the 12mm krill wafter and my PVA bag, but it got snagged around something. I'm so gutted about that because it was bigger than that one, 100% bigger than that one. It is what it is. At least we got one of them in, and that's the main thing. At least we got one of them in. Right, let's try for another. So if you were wondering how big that other one was, it was 13 pound, pretty much on the nose, and it was on the krill wafter, dumbbell wafter with AquaStim pellets. I'm actually shaking. I did not expect to get a carp today, honestly, especially not one as nice as that. Certainly didn't expect to hook two. Absolutely gutted, but all I can console myself with is at least we landed one of them. But I wouldn't have been surprised if that fish was going on for 18 pound, the other one. Dear me. But it just shows you that it's always worth having a sleeper rod out. I actually thought it was the other fish going across my other line, but it weren't. They both just went off at the same time, which was so weird. But shorter hook length, bigger hook, pink wafter, and it produces a carp. Crazy. But I did see, as I was saying to you before, I did see a load of bubbles coming up on my patch. Luckily I managed to get it out the clip as well, because it was pulling against the line clip. So I'm gonna have to clip back up after I cast back out, try and get it somewhere similar. That'll do. Probably wanted to be a bit more to the other side, but that's why I fish with 10-pound line as well, because unlike 6-pound line, there was no way that I would have got that fish in. It was pulling against the clip too hard. It just would have snapped the line. But I just did not expect to get a carp today. And like I said, if you were wondering, the pellets in my PVA bag are AquaStim Black Magic pellets mixed with AquaStim F1 Sweet. If you fancy trying some AquaStim pellets or wafters, just head over to AquaStim's website. I'll put the link in the description. And because I use so many of their products and I use them on the channel, they've given me 5% off for my subscribers. So make sure you use the code WestysAngling5 at checkout if you buy anything. So the bailiff's just come round again and he was asking me what I caught and so on and so forth, and he said that the carp do tend to patrol that far edge, and he was asking me whether it was a mirror or a common. He said the mirrors are getting a bit bigger, but obviously they were commons. Both of them were commons. I did see the other fish. It kept coming up to the top and splashing about, so, which is very typical of a fish that's caught around another line, to be quite honest with you. I have had that before. I think I could just do with a distance feeder rod to get over to the far bank, tie it up to them trees and that. I'm probably fishing both on bite alarms, probably on method feeder. Really nice guy, the bailiff here, actually. Very interested in what you're catching and so on and so forth. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to stick it out in this weather, guys, but we'll keep at it. I'll be happy with a big chunk of a bream, to be quite honest. Well, I don't rate these Ridge Monkey pants. Meant to be bloody waterproof. They're definitely not waterproof. I'm soaking. I mean, they probably are waterproof. They're just not stormproof. It's not stormproof like today. Well, folks, we're going to call it a day soon and get packed up, I think. But can you blame us? Look at the absolute state of it. Hammering it down. We're just waiting for a break in the weather. And I don't think we're going to get one. But I'm soaking head to toe, even with the waterproofs. But I am chuffed having that nice carp today. I really didn't think we'd get a carp. Apparently the carp are notoriously hard to catch here, so the bailiff tells me. And I've had some nice bream as well, so I really can't complain with today's fishing. Worth coming out for, even with the conditions. I'm not sure my dad would agree with that, but I've just had one last cast. Recast my method feeder back out. I had that one run all day with that decent fish on the sleeper rod, so it was worth putting it out. But definitely the method feed has been more productive, and I can't believe the change that obviously putting the wafter on suddenly attracted the carp. So it just shows you that it's sometimes good to mix it up, put a different bait on, put a different type of bait on, something that's going to sit above the silt, and also shortening and lengthening the hook lengths as well. But you can't ask for a more natural venue than this, really. Other than fishing the river, we do actually have plans to fish the River Ribble over the next couple of months, so make sure you keep an eye out for that video. And if you've not already subscribed to the channel, now's your chance to do so, and don't forget to hit the bell icon as well, that way you won't miss another video. But look at these conditions, guys, definitely worth a subscribe. Coming out, still filming for you, love it. Okay folks, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next Westys Angling.